All right, guys, so let me tell you what I found out about the issues we're having with CS6 versus Creative Cloud and what to do about the book. If you look in the course area, I'm in the syllabus under course materials, and this should be very familiar to you. Here's what's happening. The publisher, they did not actually make a printed version of their book that's just for Creative Cloud. What they did was with all CS6 book purchases, they sent this little booklet with it, and this gives you a code to the online course mate of this book and gives you kind of tutorial videos from the author on what's new, and it has little PDFs that show you different things that have been dropped or added to Flash. So here's what we're going to do. Now, if you got this little booklet, hang around because I'm going to show you that website and all the great things with it. If you didn't get this booklet, if you bought the book used, whatever, then I created a PDF that has chapters 1 through 11 of all those updates. So if you click it, you're going to come to this PDF and you can click download to save it. You can print it, put it with your book, whatnot. And if I go to this little index, I can choose my chapters. Notice we don't have chapter 12. It's just a problem that's happening with the website, and I'll send it to you when I get it. Okay? So in here, this Creative Cloud Enhancements is going to show you the index and all these things that have been updated in each chapter. And it'll also tell you somewhere in here, let's do chapter 5, should tell you when things have been dropped, like this. Update, skip this lesson as ActionScript 2.0 has been dropped, or Inverse Kinematics has been dropped. So this should help you. And then if you go to each of these chapters, it breaks it down by chapter. But in addition, at the bottom of this, it'll tell you, okay, these are the new features. Here are things that have dropped. And it'll tell you what changes to the lessons there are. So if I go to chapter 3, this is going to show me changes to lessons. So on page 326 and 327, you're going to replace the steps with these steps. So this should help you use your CS6 book more efficiently if you're a Creative Cloud user. This should go over the things that you need to be aware of when there are changes. If there wasn't changes, then it's the exact same thing you would see in the CS6 book. So if you did get this little booklet that has the code, you can log into cengagebrain.com, put that code in, and then you should have these two items. This Mind Tap is just the ebook, so you can go there. The CourseMate is what I'm concerned with, so you can click on open, and it's going to open in a new tab. Oops. And when you're here, you can go through each one of the chapters. So let's just say go to chapter 3. So for here, there are author videos, and this is the video where he creates a tutorial that shows you all the new things that's different with Creative Cloud. And you can also come here and do the chapter updates, and you can do all kinds of other things to help you. And then they have these really cool total training videos, which I didn't know they had. So they have a bunch of tutorial videos that come with your book from an actual book publisher source. So if I go to Resource Index and I go to Creative Cloud Chapter Updates, that's where I got all these PDFs. And when you're in here, just know that this is actually Chapter 1, even though it says 2. I talked to them. They said they're going to try to update their website. So we have 1 through 11, but we don't have Chapter 12 right now. So they're working on that. And as soon as I find Chapter 12, I'll get it to you. So, just to reiterate this, if you're a Creative Cloud user, I would recommend downloading this PDF, printing it out, and as you go through the lessons, see what needs updating or what's updated and follow those instructions. So if there's something, again, that has been dropped, like the Deco tool or the Bone tool, we don't use those a lot, so you don't have to worry about those. And in fact, we don't use them at all when we're doing our chapter assignments. The biggest problem is that they dropped ActionScript 2.0. And that's probably a good thing, just because most people use 3.0 and we should be using 3.0. The reason why we did 2.0 in this class is because this class is already tough enough as it is without trying to tackle 3.0 from the very beginning. So we started with 2.0 to give you a gradual introduction, get you used to that, get you used to working with script and how it applies to different objects, and then introduce you to 3 in chapter 9 through 12. So instead, you're going to have to do a little bit of juggling, so to speak. So this is CS6. Every assignment tips video, the majority of it is going to work for you. Everything I talk about like where your content should go, how to create a motion tween, how to create a movie clip or an animated button, all of my tutorial videos, that stuff is all going to work exactly the same for you. The only difference is the action script. So when it comes to the action script, this is the end of chapter 3 in CS6. And basically what it is on frame 1, we have a stop action. And on frame 5, we have a stop action. And that's because we want people to stop on frame 1 and choose which page they want to go to. And then we want it to stop on frame 5 so they have time to read it, check out the picture, and then they can click home when they're ready to go back and choose another page. So we have 2 stop actions on this actual stop movie layer. But the buttons, how do they work? Well, they work with action script, but you can't see it. You can't see these actions on this action script layer. So it's kind of like, what's going on here? Well, in 2.0, you actually add the actions to the objects themselves. So as you can see right now, I'm on the button, and this is my button symbol, and it has a script on it. So unless I click on that button, if I click anywhere else, even though I see actions here, I cannot see that action script until I click on that object itself. And that really became confusing for people. So that was a benefit of ActionScript 3.0. So instead of you doing this, I recommend you watch the assignment tips videos. And anytime I talk about ActionScript, just know that you're going to do this. So let me go ahead and open this in Creative Cloud. And if it was already created in 3.0, you won't get this error. If it was created in 2.0, it's going to tell you we don't support this, so you click OK and you're good to go. So what it does is it gets rid of any action script that's not, shall we say, legal. So it's not legal to put action script on, let me fit this in there. It's not legal to put action script on actual objects. So I can't click on Trex and add action script. So what can we do? If I open up the actions panel, here we go. Now when we come to this actions panel, here's what's going to happen. You can see we still have these stop actions, and these were basically created by doing this. So I'll go ahead and delete these. So normally in CS6, you click on this frame, you click a little plus button, go to timeline control, stop. For you, if you're working with Creative Cloud, you're going to still click on the frame where you want it to stop, and instead of calling this a stop movie layer, I'm just going to go ahead and call this the actions layer, because 3.0 likes to have a layer that's called actions. It needs to be capitalized and it needs to be actions and spelled correctly. So if I click on this frame, I want it to stop here. I'm going to grab this code snippets panel, which can be found in window code snippets if you don't see it. And I'm going to choose out of all these different actions, I know I want to control the timeline. I want it to stop at this point. So I'll toggle that down, and here are the different actions you can apply. So this is the one I want, stop at this frame. So with that frame 1 on the actions layer selected, I'll double click stop on this frame. So the cool thing about working with 3.0, and especially with code snippets, is it really tries to talk you through it. So this is saying that the flash timeline will stop or pause at the frame where you insert this code. So that's why we put it on frame 1, because we want it to stop on frame 1. All right, so this is going to allow us, this is the actual code. This is just a note, which you can tell by these little symbols here. That's how you can write yourself a note. It just has to be at the beginning and the end exactly like this. So now we need to make the Trex button work. Well, let's go ahead and stop it at 5 too. So if I want to stop it at frame 5, I can, but let's go ahead and test how this works. So it stops on frame 1. That's fantastic. But I click on the buttons and nothing happens. So if I do click on the Trex button, it will not let me add action script no matter what I do. I need to actually add it instead of on the object itself. I just need to add it to this frame. So I'll click the object and go to code snippets, and I'm going to say when somebody clicks this object, I want to go to frame and play or go to frame and stop. If it's going to go to frame 5 and it doesn't have animation, it doesn't need to go anywhere, you could do stop. I always choose play because if I want it to stop, I'll put a stop action like we've already done. So I'm going to choose click to go to frame and play. Double click it. It's going to tell you this symbol, the button symbol, requires an instance name. Flash will create one for you, so I'll click OK. Basically what it did, if I click on Trex button, you can see up here in the properties panel, it gave it an instance name of button_1. I hate having generic instances or generic code in my action script because then I might have button 1, button 2, button 3, and I'm like, which one's button 1, which one's button 2, and I have to click here. So let me show you how to make that less generic. I'll click on the Trex button and give it an instance name of Trex_BTN. And I like to do that. I like to give it its unique name and then underscore and then the type of symbol. So Trex_BTN. And then if I come back in the code, so again, frame 1 of the actions layer, I'm going to replace this old generic instance name with Trex_BTN. And this will not work unless they are exactly the same name. So basically what it's saying, clicking on the specified symbol instance, so again, this is referencing that instance, moves the playhead to the specified frame, can be used on the main timeline or on movie clip timelines. Instructions, replace the number 5 in the code below with the frame number you'd like to go to. So basically what this is saying is the object with the instance name of Trex button, which we just gave this button the instance name of Trex button, when Flash hears the mouse click, it's going to perform this function, which is basically FL_click to go to and play from frame. So this is a weird function name. And we could call this anything, but we have to define what this means. What should happen when this function is called? When somebody clicks and it tries to perform this function, what is this? Is it going to jump to something? Is it going to erase something? Is it going to close something? What's going to happen? So this is where we define that function. So we have function that is called this. So you can see these names. So we're defining this function and we're saying what happens when that function is performed is we go to and play frame 5. And thankfully our Trex page is on frame 5, so that works for us. So let's see this in action again for the actual Trex page. We need to stop here because if we test this out, and we click Trex, it's great, it's stopped there, it's waiting for me to do something, click Trex, and what the heck? You can't even see it because it needs to actually have a stop on this page because it goes too fast for you to even see it. So on frame 5, I want it to stop, and let's go ahead and see what happens. So again, I click Trex, and it goes to the Trex page, which again lives on frame 5. But now when I click home, nothing happens. So how do I do that again? So I'll select this symbol and I'm going to do it opposite now. I'm going to go ahead and give this an instance name first. And this is how I do it for real whenever I make Flash projects. So I recommend it this way. So I'll do home_BTN. And now with that object selected, I'll go to code snippets, click to go to frame and play. And you can see it didn't bring up anything about instance names because it automatically took whatever I named it and put it in the code for me. So it's saying whenever it hears a click on the object with the name home_button, it's going to perform this function. And this function simply means go to and play frame 5. Well, this is ridiculous because we're on frame 5. We want it to go back to frame 1 where our home page lives. So I'm going to change this to 1. And now I should be able to test this movie out, command return or control enter on a PC. If I click Trex, it goes to the home page. And if I click home, it goes back to the original home page. So this is functioning correctly. This is ActionScript 3.0. So basically, instead of CS6 where you click on a frame and you come up here and you do the plus symbol, instead, now you're going to click on a frame, go to code snippets, double click stop at this frame. You're going to click on a button, give it an instance name, go to code snippets, and double click go to frame and play. And then you just have to remember to replace the frame number with at whatever frame number you want it to jump to. So hopefully that helps you to adapt between the CS6 and the Creative Cloud software and textbook and whatnot.